Welcome to No Password Required, a monthly conversation that introduces you to some of the top talent in the world of cybersecurity.
Hello and welcome to No Password Required, a podcast dedicated to exploring the minds and personalities that make up the field of cybersecurity. I'm your host, Ernie, and with me, as always, is Jack Clabby, a cybersecurity attorney at Carlton Fields, PA in Tampa. On the podcast today, we will chat with Nyffenegger, the founder and CEO of PentesterLab, a company that started as a small side project. Lewis believes that there's only one way to properly learn web penetration testing, by getting your hands dirty. PentesterLab does that, providing hands-on experiences that take their customers from zero all the way through to more advanced web vulnerabilities. Lewis, we look forward to a great conversation. But first, hello to my co-host, Mr. Jack Clabby. Jack, good day, sir.
Ernie. Got a chance to catch up with you this past weekend at a youth rowing competition that we both found ourselves at on probably the most beautiful day of the year. And just a good reminder for why Florida is not only the center of cybersecurity for the United States, but also the center for really good February weather.
It was beautiful. It was beautiful. Oh, so much so that for those of us that are watching the soon-to-be YouTube, you can see that I spent a fair bit of time out there with these lovely racing stripes that I inherited. And if you really want to see, I am embodying the name Redneck. You got a fair bit of sun. I
hastily applied sunscreen all over my bald head and upper half, but not to the sock line. And so the next day I was waiting at the side of another youth sporting event, and there was a young kid who pointed out to his dad that, quote, "something's wrong with that man's legs," close quote. And I felt like I had lost, any credibility when I tell my own children to use sunscreen. But we've got something.
No, listen. You've transcended into a new level of the dad game. Are those socks with sandals? No, it's even better. It's a sock tan line with sandals. That's a whole other level.
Well, we've got something I think special today, Ernie. So let's see if we can get Rex on the line. Rex, I think you've got something special today for us.
I do. Thank you for that warm welcome, Mr. Clabby. Today we're going to have a bit of a game show because our fearless leader is moving on. He's still with Cyber Florida, but he's just too darn busy putting out fires to hang out with us and goof off. So without further ado, welcome to Technologue, Game Show Edition. I'm your host, Rex Wilson. On today's show, we are going to celebrate our lead host and captain, Mr. Ernie Ferraresso. As the director at Cyber Florida, Ernie drives the strategic vision while overseeing the center's day-to-day operations. And because of his new responsibilities, this is his final show. I know it's sad, but there'll be plenty of time for tears later. Now it's time to celebrate this awesome guy and have some fun. Let's say hello to today's contestants. Sarina, it says here that you have your own podcast.
I do indeed.
That's
I have a podcast.
That's wonderful. Jack, it says that you're a hotshot attorney over in Tampa. That must be exciting.
It is, Rex.
Wonderful. Devin, it says here you're a multimedia expert. That we're so glad you're here. Okay, wonderful. Moving along. The rules are simple. I will ask a question that can only be answered with a number. To each contestant one at a time. Each of you will give an answer, and the one closest to the actual answer that Mr. Ferraresso provided will get a point. The winner will receive a copy of Phil Collins' Greatest Hits on CD. Let's get started. Sarina, we'll start with you.
Okay.
How many times has Ernie moved?
How many times has Ernie moved? I'm going to go with 12.
Mr. Clabby, how many times do you believe
go with-
Ernie's moved?
7.
7 times. Devin, how many times do you believe Ernie's moved?
Devin, I want to hear.
Devin, it's an easy question.
We got to unmute you, Devin.
All right, let's go with 8.
8 times. Went in the middle. Folks, we've got an exacto, as I like to call them. Ernie has moved 12 times.
That's right.
That is double points for Sarina. She
Right
leads
on the button.
2-0. Next question. How many countries has Ernie visited? We'll start with Jack on this
I'm
one.
going to go with 10. 10 countries.
Devin, how many countries?
Let's go with 8.
He likes the number 8, folks. Sarina, how many countries has Ernie visited?
I'm going to go with 15.
The correct answer is a whopping
Oh, my
33
goodness.
countries.
Oh
And
my
Sarina gets another
goodness.
point.
Hey, listen.
Ernie.
3-0 lead.
Hey, listen. When your job takes you around the world, you get to go to a lot of places, and these do not include places where changing planes in the airport.
This is like real visits
That
to.
gets
Wow.
This is more than 48 hours.
It makes sense. It makes sense that somebody with that kind of history would end up in a place as wonderful as Tampa, though, Ernie. That to me, right?
That's right.
We've talked about this a lot. You're a good example of what's so attractive about this place is that you can go everywhere, but you end up here because when you've seen everything, you know the benefits of a place like Tampa.
That's right. Exactly.
Well, that's wonderful. Thank you for the pleasantries, Jack. Moving along. Devin, how many cups of coffee per day does Ernie drink?
Everybody knows my affinity for a good cup of Joe.
Let's go with 8.
That number looks like a snowman. Let's go with.
Serena, to you, how many cups of coffee does Ernie drink per
I'm
day?
going to go with 15 again.
Wow.
Wow, that guy's got a lot of energy.
I've seen you at the office.
I want to take the. I'm going to take the under. I'm going to go with 5.
And with that answer, Mr. Clabby's on the board with 1. The correct answer is 4 cups per day.
4
He
cups.
just nurses them for like 7 hours.
Oh wow,
Nice.
that's the Internet of Things.
Next, Serena, this one's to you. How many pairs of shoes does Ernie currently own?
Ooh, that's tough. I'm going to say 3.
Wow. Black, brown tennis shoes.
It's kind of what I'm
It's
thinking,
either a low
honestly.
number or a very high number, because otherwise it wouldn't be
I
like
know.
like a word. You know what I mean? Like it's just like
Great.
sneakers and boots, or it's like a crazy number, right? Like I'm gonna go with 20.
20
The Imelda
pairs
Marcos
shoes.
of the cybersecurity community.
I
Devin,
think I'm going to go with 8.
That's like a standard number.
excellent answer.
I'm bound to hit. I just got to stay consistent.
So the correct answer is 5, which puts Serena with another point, which I believe makes it out of reach, but we'll see how Devin does on the
Triple
next
point.
question. You know what? We'll do triple points. I like it.
Lightning round.
Let's. All right. The final question will go to Jack first. How many tattoos does Ernie have?
I'm gonna go with 1 tattoo, and if we're gonna count the giant screaming eagle along his back,
Does that count as one? Is that one?
tattoo.
How many times were you in the chair for that one? What? No.
I'm going with
Devin.
Ernie, give me a wink if it's 8. I'm going with 8.
8. Excellent. Sarina?
I genuinely don't know this one. I'm just gonna guess 0.
Ooh.
And with that, Sarina gets another exacto.
Yes!
That's awesome.
Well. Oh my gosh!
Sarina with 8 points when really only 5 were possible. Congratulations.
This is the happiest
Candy.
moment of my life.
Well, we thank you all for playing. Sarina, since there's no chance you would ever listen to any CD, specifically Phil Collins' greatest hits, I'll just take you to lunch. Congratulations.
That was wonderful. I'm looking forward to it.
Because I don't even think you have a way to play a CD if one did actually show up.
I don't want to call myself out, but I don't think that I do.
Listen, I don't think I could if I had to at this point.
I'm not even sure if my car has a CD player.
When you were
anymore.
traveling in all those
Oh,
countries, Ernie, which Phil Collins song did you miss the most? I think that's probably when you got back. Did you listen to Face Value?
So I think I would say, let's see, this is going to be a tough one. So I would say it was probably Susu Studio because when I was in the Philippines, because they banned it there for some reason. It was banned. It's strange. It was strange. I was surprised, shocked, and surprised that of all the songs they picked that one. If I was going to ban a Phil Collins song, I would have picked. Oh my goodness!
I'm sorry. The correct answer is Land of Confusion.
The Land of Confusion. Oh, that's right.
We found the old diaries, the old shipboard diaries. We'll pull them in.
That's right. Land of Confusion. Curse these people. They don't know what they're missing.
Ernie, with all your new free time from not having to record a cybersecurity personality-based podcast for 2 to 3 hours each month, what do you think you're going to further cull down your shoe collection, or will you use your time differently?
Well, I may pick up a tattoo or two while I'm doing that, or try to either expand the coffee consumption. I think
8.
Anything involving the
Increase
number
it to
8. That's right. Increase everything to 8. Bring it all up.
Consistent.
That's right.
All right. Well, with that said, we're going to take a quick break, and when we return, we'll talk to Lewis about his career path and what he considers PentesterLab's greatest success.
Looking for more no password required content? Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn at No Password Pod.
All right, welcome back. Our guest is Louis Nyffenegger, the founder and CEO of PentesterLab. Louis, welcome to No Password Required.
Thanks for having me.
Louis, could we know about your current role a little bit, but could you kind of walk the audience through your career path, sort of how you got to where you are now?
So I started fresh out of uni to working in security. So I did two master degree, one in security and one in computer architecture, like a lot of data mining, what people call now artificial intelligence, but used to be called like data mining. And from that, I got a job in security first an internship where I did some Windows kernel development. And then in the same company, I got a job doing security consulting. It was probably like 15 years ago. So like pentester wasn't really a job at the time. You were doing a bit of pen testing, but you were mostly like a security consultant because you were doing code review, audit, and everything. And after like a few years doing that, I decided to move from France to Australia. And that's where I got a job as a pen tester. And I keep working and working. Then I moved to work for another company doing just code review. And at the same time, I start doing training at the local conference, RoxCon. And because I was really passionate about sharing. And like, I think like something I really enjoy doing. And at the same time, it's something that really helped me grow as a person. I think you learn a lot by seeing how people think and how they learn new things. And I really enjoy that part. And I end up with like all this training material, like to create for the conference, to do the training. And it's like, it was 2 days of training. So like a lot of labs and a lot of slides and everything. And I was like, I'm not doing much with that. I'm just doing like 1 training a year or 2 trainings a year. And I'm like, I probably should do more. And I decided to like put it online and create a training platform online. And that was probably like 10 years ago. Yeah, and that's how PentesterLab started. And nowadays, I'm like, I spend a lot of time doing that PentesterLab and my a normal job.
Okay.
I worked like for the local, like Australia Post. I worked for banks. I worked for a smartwatch company. And after a while, it was too much to do both. So I just like moved to full-time working for PentesterLab.
When did you like, what was that like when you begin to realize that the side project could become its own thing?
That's scary. Like, it's easy to have like a paycheck and you do your job, you get your pay. You still have risk like to get laid off and stuff like that, but it's kind of easy. You don't have to think about bringing money. It kind of comes. I don't know how to explain. Like, there's a really subtle difference between like your own business and being employed by someone else in terms of like, you still have to do the work, you still can lose everything, but it's like very different. And people tell you what to do, or at least the environment tell you what to do, where like when you start working on your own like that, you need to like think about everything. And if tomorrow there is no PentesterLab, like, yeah, like need to get back to a normal job and things like that. So yeah, it's a bit scary, but it was surprising. Like when I used to joke, like when I realized that PentesterLab was a pizza, as in it can feed a family of 5. That was
That's awesome.
That was a pretty like big change in my life. Yeah.
That's your metric, is yeah.
Yeah.
Can I feed a family of 5? That was like a pizza, like it shows up at your house when somebody else calls. I mean, is that?
I like that.
Oh, I get it. Good. So how long did that take? I mean, when did you just scale a time that you from the hey, I started this and now boom, was that like decades or just a few months, years?
So so bit of a long story. So I started PentesterLab like 10 years ago, but I started as something where I was selling a PDF and an ISO. So basically just the training lab I was using. And then it didn't work for like 6 months. I didn't get many clients and I got impatient and I'm doing that to share it. I'm not doing that to make money. So I decided to make everything free. And I did that for maybe 5 years. And after a while, I started having kids. And then you're like, oh, do I spend my Sunday morning with my kids doing stuff, or do I spend it doing support for people on the internet? And I realized like, oh, okay, I need to make money out of it if I want to keep just doing it. Even if it's just like go on a date with my wife and PentesterLab pays for the restaurant, or it's just like having something back. So I started doing, first I tried to do a pro version and I failed. And then I tried again a year later and it started, I made it. And then I had a few clients and it started growing really, really fast. And so I kept my job working like doing code review, pen test and everything because I really liked it. And the team I was working with was amazing. But after a while, it was just like too much. Like I had like 3 kids and a full-time job and a project that was getting bigger and bigger. So, but I think I kept going for 2 years, 2.5 years. But after a year, it was probably good enough in terms of how many pizza it was bringing, I guess. So yeah, so I could have stopped before, but I really liked what I was doing, and I'm not a big risk person, I guess.
No, that's it's that decades-long overnight success type of thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We sometimes talk about the hard skills that a pen tester might have, but there's also some soft skills that are important to you. What do you think the most important soft skills are for a great pen tester?
So I think first I prefer meta skills.
I like that
because soft skills make
good.
them look like weak.
Yeah,
and I like
good. I'm with you, man. That's actually fantastic because I'll just leave it at that because you're exactly correct. I don't know how many times. Oh, this is one of these soft science. It's one of these soft skills. Right, like cotton candy soft, or Oh, no, sorry.
No. I think empathy is really the thing that you need to work in security, and for plenty of reasons. You need to understand what mistake people will make. Like you need to, because that's where you're going to find bugs, right? You need to know how to explain vulnerabilities to people. So you need to have this empathy to realize to word things properly for them, because sometimes you're going to talk to a business owner, sometimes you're going to talk to a developer. So you need this empathy to understand, to make yourself understandable by other people. And I think it's also in terms of what shortcuts are people going to take if they're busy in their job. So you're going to see okay, this is what someone else will do. So there's probably a bug here, a vulnerability that I can look for. And that really helps. And I think that's probably the most important skill, because once you got that, bugs are just jumping at you.
Oh, wow.
Because you know exactly where to look for.
Does PentesterLabs help encourage the growth of those meta skills? Is there a way you can teach those skills?
I try to empathy is hard to teach online. I try to get people to realize why things are done a certain way, and why it's a background, why people are doing that one thing instead of another. I as well teach a more engineering focused approach to security. Okay. And look at problems as technical problems instead of just oh, it's magic. You just run that command and bang, you got a shell. And that's part of it, I think. But trying to explain why bugs are here, and just not developers are stupid. They made that mistake. No, there is a reason they made that mistake. Maybe the API is not clear. Maybe they didn't have enough time.
It's tough, I think, to teach online how to walk a mile in somebody else's moccasins. That's that's interesting. And I think like you said, when you talk about thinking about trying to understand not so much that the vulnerability of the problem exists, it's just kind of the why it's there and how did it get in there. Can you go with basically assuming that there was some intentionality behind that, and typically it's not. They were endeavoring to create a vulnerable system which could be exploited by the future. It was probably, hey, I've got to rush to do this because of X, Y, and Z, and I don't have the answers here, so we got to do something. And what is that? And then you can, if you get it, it's almost having the quote, the attacker mindset or the hacker criminal mindset, but almost in reverse, having the developer and designer mindset of why somebody's trying to do it. And then you can start to see the different, like you said, where all the problems exist because of the challenges that they're facing and trying to get their product out the door. So that's pretty interesting.
That's exactly it.
Yeah.
Can you, Louis, can you tell us a little bit about your hobbies and, in particular, why some of the value of having hobbies that you might not be as good at as you are at your day job?
So I'm not unlucky. I think I'm lucky in a way that I have two hobbies that I really, really love, and I'm terrible at them, very bad. They have a steep learning curve. I surf and I play chess, and I'm terrible at both.
I was going to say, I hope one of them wasn't juggling chainsaws, because I don't know if I want you to be bad at that while you're practicing that.
Exactly. Yeah.
Surfing, huh? So wait, it's you're surfing, the big waves down under. Because I want to say that's where what was his name? Bodie from Point Break. That's where he ended up. Surfing the big one, surfing off into the beyond there.
Exactly. Like, I went to that. I went there actually. I don't remember the name of the beach, but yeah. And I think like it's like the thing is that when you're bad at something, you understand like what people coming like from like the beginner mind, like what the beginner mindset when they look at something new. And for example, when I started PentesterLab, when I started, I was like, I don't see the value of videos to teach people, because for me, I hated learning security or learn new things in security via videos, because it was like too much time wasted to like a few nuggets of information. And because I've been doing that for a long time. But if you are at home and no one can show you how to do like very simple thing, the value of video, like you need videos to see like these basic things, like, oh, how I'm using that tool, how I'm using that, even like copy pasting, some little tricks. I don't know, something I do, for example, when I access a URL with a payload, before hitting enter, I always copy paste or copy the URL. So if I get redirected or something like that, I still have it in my, I can still paste it somewhere else. And all these things, I think if I wasn't bad at surfing and I wasn't bad at looking at how people play chess, or I wasn't bad at chess, I wouldn't realize like what beginners really, really need to be able to learn.
Okay.
And yeah.
It's right. It's surfing. So, back to that, I gotta get all kind of zen on you here. Because one thing I've always, I grew up, by the water. I've surfed twice.
Okay.
And I actually stood up once. But
because you're in Florida, right?
Well, yeah, actually, that's a whole other story. Yeah, because people talk about the surfing community. It's not, yeah. And anybody tells you they surf on the Gulf Coast, that's a complete total. But I actually spent a fair bit of time in Hawaii, and so I got to see that. But as a kid, I grew up in the Northeast, up in New England, and spent a lot of time on the water, not necessarily surfing, but we had one of those little single person sailboats. And part of what I think doing anything on the water gets you to realize is that there's so much stuff that you can't control, and that if you're trying to get to a certain spot, oftentimes you can't just go straight to that spot. You gotta, and there's a lot of things that you gotta take a roundabout way. You gotta, and like if you're surfing and there's no waves, then you're not surfing. But you can what are you gonna do? Get mad at the waves? I mean, come on. Or some days you're just going to be a good wave, and yet I think it provides that, like I said, that Zen thing of, okay, yeah, hey, listen, this is what it is. I can get mad at this, but that's not going to help, So yeah. I just think that's pretty good. And I think it's interesting when you mentioned about the chess, because they're two almost opposite ends of it. Surfing it's very, like you said, it's so the realm of complexity. It's just so many different things that can happen that you can't predict. Whereas chess, it's very rule based and very regimented. So that's it. So I mean, why the contrast? Why chess and surfing?
I don't know. I can't explain it. I think I get so chess is really interesting. I think you can learn a lot about like as a teacher, you can learn a lot from how people teach chess and apply it to teaching information security, especially like more like pen testing / hacking, because you got like the mindset is similar. The way you need to repeat things to like keep improve your understanding. The way that like chess is really simple. Like once you get the rules, it's really simple, but on paper, then it's amazingly hard and complex.
Yep, exactly.
And I think security is the same way, like kind of an onion. Like you can get the basic of something and it's really simple, but then if you keep digging, it's getting more and more complex. And I think that's like, and I don't know like why I love both those hobbies, but Yeah, I think the good thing as well with surfing is that you can't have like a laptop or a phone next to you when you're in the water.
Yeah.
And that really helps.
Well, I think the other thing with surfing along those is, and if while you're surfing, if you're not focused on surfing, you just it's not gonna happen for you, because you don't if you're not paying attention to what's going on and you're not worried about that's almost one of those, again, that forced meditative state that you gotta come in all present here, because otherwise it's not gonna be too pretty good.
No, you're gonna drink a lot of water.
That's right. Now the other part I would add, so down in Australia, what about this? There's a huge element of risk involved there. I mean, so between the sharks, I don't know if you're in the crocodile area, and then of course the box jellyfish. I mean, these are all things that there's no half measures here. It's either you see them and they kill you, or you see them and they don't. That's it. I mean, there's no in between. So does that?
So I don't have much jellyfish where I am. It's like a lot more north. So
good. Yeah.
I got the cold. You either got like warm water and more sharks and more jellyfish, or cold water and less shark and less jellyfish. So I'm more like a cold water, like I'm south, so it's where it's colder.
Yeah.
And so I don't there isn't much risk. And shark, like you probably have more chance to get hit by a car driving or going there than being bitten by a shark. So like you always hear about it when there is one attack, and you don't hear about car accidents, but
well, of course, again, down there in Australia, you got more chance of being bitten by a funnel web spider, or one of those, what did they call it? Some sort of the death snake. I don't know. Yeah. This is my parochial Americanisms. And everything down there kills you. Everything. And everything that shouldn't be able to kill you kills you. That's crazy. I mean, these are like, the snake has a power to kill you. What's it gonna? Yeah. The snake's like, it's not like it's a 14-foot long, size of bat. It's just a snake-sized snake. Why do they need to kill me? I mean, why? I don't. Sorry. So how did you get interested in cybersecurity? Speaking of deadly snakes.
Okay. Basically, I went to engineering school and I wanted to be like a Linux embedded system engineer.
No, but you got to back up. Hold on, Louis. You got to back up before that. How do you get the dream to become a Linux embedded security engineer? Right? Where, did you start?
I don't know.
When you were a kid, were you playing with computers? How did you get to it in the first place?
I started really late, I had a computer around 10 or 12, but I spent my time playing Prince of Persia.
Classic, by the way, classic. Still good today as it ever was.
Yeah, it's a book by the author of Prince of Persia is really good, actually.
Wow.
And I just didn't do, and then I started one day learning HTML to look at creating a website. It was probably 1999, so the big .com boom and things like that. And I kept going. I started learning C, TCP/IP, and then got into compiling Linux kernel. And I was like, oh, that's really fun. I want to do that all the time, do that. And I went to engineering school, and I met people who were into security, and I realized you know what is even cooler than building things? It's building and breaking them. And I started learning more and more security, and then I started doing a master degree just in security to be more specialized, and then I kept going, I guess.
Like I said, so that's the Prince of Persia. You're going in to steal all that stuff, and then they get out clean and on to the next one. Yeah,
yep, exactly.
Part of your journey was at the smartwatch company. 15 years ago, if you were in a professional setting, everybody would have a mechanical watch, like a piece of jewelry, right?
Yeah.
And now I was at a meeting with a group of, I think it was 8 lawyers. We're sitting around at dinner on this past Thursday night. And I was thinking about this, and I think 6 of the 8 had a smartwatch of one form or another. 15 years ago, you never would have had that happen. So they're just so ubiquitous. What was it like being in security when these products were really taking off?
It was really, really it was an amazing learning experience, I think. When you have been doing security for a while, you know the answer. And it's more like putting the right recipe in front of the right person so they do the right thing. And when you arrive in the smartwatch or most IoT things, you have constraints that you didn't have before. So you start, someone wants to do some security, and you usually come back and say, okay, we're going to do some crypto here. We're going to use that algorithm. And they're like, sorry, we don't have that. We can't do that. We don't have MD5. Not that it's a good algorithm, but we don't have SHA-2. And it's okay, that's interesting.
What do you have?
So what do you have?
So what do we have? We have this highlighter. It's very nice.
Yeah. Exactly.
Sorry, that's not what we need.
So he said we only have IES. So the only crypto we can do is IES. Okay. So you need to rethink everything you learned before and find new ideas, find new ways of doing the same thing with just one algorithm. And then that's one problem. But then you're okay, we did some good security, but the problem is that the battery now, thanks to this good security, only lasts 1 day instead of 5.
Oh man.
So yeah. So you need to rethink, and you need to find the right balance between what you can do and what what's the best thing you can do security wise, and what is good enough to find the balance between battery and what you have on the device. And yeah, that's really, really interesting.
Knowing what you know about the Internet of Things and what you see day to day, are you terrified for the future? Do you think security can keep up with all the different devices that are now being made in a connected way? Or do you think that security is going to always lose that battle?
I think the problem is that it's a really big space. So it depends. If you buy something like a device on eBay or at the $2 shop, obviously the security and not going to be great. But if you it's like when people talk about PHP website, Facebook is written in PHP, and but you also have people writing their first line of code in PHP. So the security is really different between those two things, and it's the same thing for IoT. You have some an Apple Watch is a pretty good device security wise, but if you buy at a corner shop a smartwatch, obviously the security will probably not be the same. So it's so vague, so big, so vast. But yeah, and for security, people who have the budget do it. People who don't have the budget and the time don't necessarily do it. And that's a risk you take as a consumer, I guess.
I was I installed a new printer last week, in our house, and I had been shopping for a wired printer because I was what do I need a wireless printer for? Every time I'm printing, I'm going to be standing next to the printer, taking the thing that I just printed right off the printer. I don't need to be in the next town over printing things. I need to be right by the printer. Why do I have a wireless printer in the first place? And it was a debate that I lost within the family, and we have a wireless printer now. And I was trying to set it up security wise, but I was wireless printers outsell wired printers now 50 to 1, whereas the average user doesn't need a wireless printer, right? Because their computer sits next to where their printer is in their home office. They're right next to each other. Have a cable.
This is Jack Clabby taking us back in time. I bet you don't even have a TV remote. You get up, I turn that knob myself. Plus, I use my hands.
Calories.
That's look at that. You get your steps in, right?
But how do you measure the success? In terms of the mission of Pentester Labs, what do you think has been its greatest success in the work that it does?
So I think when people email me saying oh, I got a job thanks to PentesterLab or things like that. But so when I moved to Australia, I had to demonstrate that I was a skilled migrant.
Okay.
So to do that, you show your diplomas, you show what you're doing for work. and everything, because they got a list of people like that they are looking for, like a list of skill set they are looking for, and it's easier to get in the country if you have one of those skills. And as part of that, so I had to show my diploma. And recently someone contacted me on Twitter telling me that they moved to Germany and they used what they learned and the certificate they got from PentesterLab to migrate and to get their visa there to demonstrate their skill. And that was pretty special for me, I think. Yeah.
That's really cool.
That's pretty good. Yeah, that's like I said, changing somebody's life right there. That's right. That's, really making a difference. That's pretty good.
Well, thank you, Louis. We're going to take a short break now. When we return, we'll have our lifestyle polygraph. So please stay with us, everyone.
You're listening to the No Password Required podcast. We cover cybersecurity and a lot of other stuff.
All right, here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Louis, are you ready for the lifestyle polygraph?
Yes, I am.
All right. So typically, the lifestyle polygraph is administered by the United States government to those seeking positions with access to some of the nation's greatest secrets. But here, we use a similar approach just to find out a little bit more about our guests. And so here we have a series of 5 questions. And here's the first one. These are very difficult questions. Oftentimes, our guests are made very uncomfortable. Some have actually cried. Some have refused to answer. So we'll start here. Again, here's the first one. What is your favorite on-site pen testing story?
Once upon a time, I did a pen test, and we managed to compromise some developer workstation using VNC. And so we could see their screen. And they were playing Tetrinet, which is a network version of Tetris. And so I decided to install Tetrinet on my laptop and start playing with them.
Nice.
And
nice.
They freaked out and just stopped Tetrinet and we went back to work.
Okay, that's pretty good. That's pretty good.
They just put the original Tetris on the Nintendo Switch console. And so a whole generation of kids in across the world have found the original Game Boy version of Tetris. Maybe not the original, but certainly the Game Boy version of Tetris. So, I've come downstairs a couple of times in my house recently and I've heard the music playing. You recognize that music anywhere, right?
Yeah.
So I've had a couple of late nights. I'm like, I'm going to get 100 lines. I'm going to get 100 lines. And then
I got to just going to do it.
Yeah. Another 5 minutes.
And you just got to be careful when you say, I'm going to get 100 lines in.
Yeah. It's a lot.
I could go, it's just
context is
different things to different folks. Yeah. That's right. Exactly. All right. Here we are. Question number 2. Oof. All right.
Yeah.
How does your fascination with how things work make you a better security engineer? Your fascination with how things work, and how does that make you a better security engineer?
So I think it comes down to, and a friend like was hiring and explain it is like, some people take an application and look for bugs. Some people take an application, understand how it works, and then find bugs. And I think that's key to find good bugs or better bugs. Instead of jumping to the bug finding part, understanding like really what is going on, how things work, how they're put together, and you find bugs that not a lot of other people may find because they are in a hurry to find the bugs instead of spending the time to find like the good stuff.
Does a good pen tester, Louis, do they have access to other information about how it works? Like they're not just looking at the code and figure out what is the purpose of this thing. They're going to gather information from other sources about what the nature of what they're looking at is, I guess.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. it depends on the client, but most of the time, if you're part of an internal team, it pays off to spend like an hour talking to the people developing the application and saying, like, okay, how does that work? Like, and even like, I often got that, like you talk to people and say like, where do you think I'm going to find bugs? And they tell you like, oh, you should definitely look there.
That's awesome. Which window of the house doesn't have a lock? You can just tell me, because then we don't.
Oh, exactly. Yeah, right there. Yeah.
Exactly. Oh, we ran out of time in the back. Oh yeah. No one's getting in.
That's right.
Like security doesn't have to be adversary, right? Like you got, I guess, the good guys and the bad guys, but when you're like pen testing a company, you're not fighting against them. You're here to help them, right? So yeah, and for them, it's probably more budget, more time, or like, yeah.
That's a really great point, Louis, because I think there is that out there in the security community that the goal of the pen tester is adverse to the developer. And I like your way of thinking, which is, hold on here. It's adverse to the bad guy who's going to try to get in this later, or it's going to be adverse to mistakes. I like this idea of they can be collaborative because they're still coming from the same place. It's more like an auditor in that way than an adversary.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, I think that's and just like you're saying, Jack, that's typically when you talk to somebody about a pen test, they're in it to, they're the folks that are coming in with the, their dark sunglasses on, and we're gonna show these guys what's up, and as opposed to, hi, yeah, we actually want to try to make your organization better, not embarrass your team. No, that's excellent. All right, here we go. Number 3. Why do you consider PentesterLabs a family business? And you can't use the term pizza. And we cannot refer to the pizza.
Damn it. I don't know then. So, it's actually like, first, it's pretty small, and I think there are something. So what we do is when people join PentesterLab, we send them stickers for free, just as a welcome gift, and it's a really good marketing trick. And what we do, like we put someone needs to put the stickers in the envelope and everything, and I do that with my kids. They love doing that, and they think I got the best job in the world because my job is to send stickers to people. So
that's great.
My job's similar to that, sending stickers to people, except it's not like it at all, and I get very little joy from just any. My job is sending emails to people, which is nothing like it.
There are a lot of water bottles in my house, though, that have Cyber Florida and no password required stickers on it, though, Ernie and Rex.
That's true. That's true. So there is. There's
a small element of stickers, a larger element than zero, but not all the way up there.
Not all the way up. So you mentioned that you have your kids and your family helping you out with some of the quote onboarding, if you will, by sending out the stickers. So you function. This is question number 4. You function in many roles at PentesterLab, including customer support. How do customers react when they find out the CEO is helping them troubleshoot an issue?
So some people a lot of people get very surprised, and some people even talk to me not in the nicest way, and then they realize who they're talking to, and they're like, "Oh, sorry, I thought it was just customer support." And what's your point? Don't be a jerk, right?
One would, exactly. You shouldn't be a jerk. Yeah, it's pretty straightforward.
But I think it's really good. I think it helps me improve PentesterLab because you know what people won't get. And that's, again, back to this empathy, is that helps me understand how people learn, and then I can improve the content, more content, more video explaining more tricks. And because, back to, again, developer, beginner mindset, you don't necessarily know what other people don't know. Yeah. And I think doing customer support really helps you with that, because you can see if it's just one person who doesn't get it, 200 people, 2,000 people, and you adjust your content based on that.
All right, here's the number 5 question. This one here is interesting. There's a lot of references that can be made coming and goings from this one. I'm just going to throw it out there and we'll see where it goes. Number 5. Can you talk about how you compete with a younger version of yourself? How you compete with a younger version of yourself? Because I want to say Bruce Willis has actually done this in a couple of movies, and I think Will Smith has as well.
So definitely not with hair. That's for sure.
You talk about empathy. I think Jack, you can feel that one, right?
There's hair on my head.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I think you learn to work on the important stuff. Where when you're young, you can go when you're young, you have like plenty of time. You can go down like all the rabbit holes you can find and stuff like that. Where when you get older, you probably got less time and you get more focused on the important things, or at least do the important things first and then go through the rabbit holes. Yeah, I think managing priorities is probably like the good way to compete with the younger version of yourself. And also experience, like where the bugs are going to be.
And it's like to see that. I'm not sure I recall how either of those stories ended, but I have to believe it was the older and wiser person that just got the drop on the younger kid who was too busy following up, going down one of them rabbit holes. And so, yeah. So, all right. Well, it appears you survived that, and you don't look too traumatized. So I think we're good. So, but. Louis, thank you very, very much for taking time out and joining us today. If our listeners would like to connect with you, how can they do that? How can they find you?
So Twitter or email, louis@pentesterlab.com, Twitter at sniff, SNYFF, like last letter of Louis and first letters of my last name. Or at PentesterLab on Twitter. And thanks for having me. Actually, yeah.
All right, that brings us to the end of this program. Thank you for joining us. First and foremost, I have to thank my co-host, Jack Clabbing. And thank you to our guest, Louis Nyffenegger, who, if you happen to be in Melbourne, you can catch him hanging 10 on the breaks as he's the Johnny Utah of cybersecurity. So remember, rate and review, and subscribe to the No Password Required podcast. You can find us on social media at No Password Pod. And I'm Ernie Ferresso. Thank you so much for listening. And I'd like to say we'll talk again soon, but you won't be able to talk to me. You'll be talking to my other friends. Just want to say thanks, everybody, for being part of the show. It's been a great time, and I've really enjoyed doing it. And, if you're ever interested, you can still find me at Cyber Florida. So subscribe to that website, and you'll talk to somebody else real soon.
Thank you for listening to the No Password Required podcast. The show is produced by Cyber Florida. A special thanks goes out to our friends at Carlton Fields and Second Watch. If you would like to learn more about the show, visit our website at cyberflorida.org/pod. And if you still need more show content, check out our social media at No Password Pod.